Thank you for joining us. So I watched Dallas Philadelphia last night. Basic points are, that was a Dallas Philly game. So everybody kind of got their stats more or less. Zeke, I don't like Zeke. I don't like rooting for him, but he is a tremendous player, and it was fun to see that. Big takeaway I got was I got to watch Amari Cooper, and Amari Cooper looked pretty good. He, I think he had 70 something yards. Like, it was a solid game, not like a great fantasy game, but he looked good. And I know I've traditionally been pretty down on him, but I think that maybe I underestimated just how bad the situation was in Oakland for him, and that just getting away from Oakland helps him. It's good for you, the change of scenery, but also, and also Dallas could use a player like that. All that makes sense. I just didn't think that Dallas was any better at getting the best out of Cooper, And now I'm sitting there and I'm like, they're obviously going to use him. He's obviously motivated and talented and stuff. I just wonder if, considering he's still inconsistent and the Cowboys can look pretty good, but they're still not like a top offense in the league. And if you want to be tied to Dak Prescott, I don't know. Considering those things, and there are so many good receivers, I don't know what kind of production it would take from him for, let's say, the Cowboys to be able to justify that trade, or for fantasy GMs who drafted him to be able to justify their pick. You know what I mean? Like, where they may have drafted him. It's tough. It's like, I don't know. What do you think?
Well, I guess my first question on listening to that, you seem a little more convinced by him. Is he a buy candidate for you? Would you acquire him?
See, that's the thing. I don't know because.
Okay, let's play a quick name game. So, Amari Cooper or Kenny Golladay?
Golladay.
Okay, Amari Cooper or Emmanuel Sanders?
Sanders. Although that's a close one. If I took more time to think about that, maybe that goes the other way, but I'll say Sanders.
Fitzgerald.
Oh, Cooper.
Cooper for sure. Yeah. So you're basically saying Cooper is a borderline top 20 receiver rest of the way, maybe top 22?
No, I wouldn't say that. Because I think that I think he'll be somewhere in that 25 to 40 range. That's like almost totally flat, And I think, you know what? It's like, remember Magic Eye pictures?
Yeah.
Right? So it's like, Magic Eye pictures, if you remember, it's like, it's just a pattern. But if you, I don't know, there's a trick with your eyes that if you see it properly, you actually see there's a 3D image in that pattern, right? And I don't know if, how do I put this? So I think there are people that will say that, like, all that stuff, the change of scenery and Cooper's talent, and he'll be good. And like this, he's got a touchdown one game and he looked good another game, like he's on his way up. And then there's someone like me saying there's too many other receivers. I'd rather have somebody else than Dak Prescott throwing to him. He's still kind of inconsistent. I don't know which one is the pattern and which one is the real shape. You know what I mean? That's the confusing part. Am I just seeing the pattern because I feel this guy's not that good and this situation's not that bad, but ultimately he's a good player? Or do the people that see his talent and draft position and all that stuff think he's a good player, but really he's going to be inconsistent and there's too many other, I don't know.
Yeah, I think what it comes down to is that we're going to be heading into week 11 and you'll have to weigh that based on the matchups, right? I mean, if you like what you see matchup-wise, maybe you'd be more inclined to start him or trade for him. That's the only way I would look at it, right? There's 3 weeks left in the regular season. So I think you're right. I mean, it's hard to debate, is he worth more than the Rams guys? Now that Kupp is out, Woods, and I'm blanking on the other guy, Cooks, obviously. Yeah,
Cooks was fantastic, man.
Yeah.
One thing, and Woods too. I was complimentary of Woods too, and Kupp. Kupp he's a big loss. And too bad for him because he's a good player, and he got hurt fairly seriously earlier in the season, came back and managed to be like spectacular again, and then now he got hurt again. It sucks. But I think that even though the Rams are all those guys are good players individually, there is still a multiplier effect, and now that multiplier is lessened. So, and the Rams, frankly, they just look like they could use their bye pretty soon.
Yeah, yeah,
Like losing to New Orleans, there's no shame in that. That's another good team. They're on the road, and you know, even Seattle giving them a good game yesterday. That's all understandable, but like neither of them would have been the case earlier in the season, really. I don't think. And also, like the Rams played uncharacteristically undisciplined. They got a lot of penalties, a lot of like superstars are getting like Dante Fowler and Aaron Donald, who are important to that team, both got really boneheaded penalties, and it's like at least, and there's probably some I'm not even thinking of, and it's like they could just use it by, I think they have the depth that whoever can step in can benefit from the multiplier effect a little bit, but I don't know. Yeah, they're still a good team, but
yeah.
they got. I think they're going to be kind of stumbling into their bye.
I think Gurley is coming down to earth a little bit now. So he only had 3 catches for 40 yards yesterday. So obviously, he's not exploding in the passing game, and that's what separates him. He did have like 16 carries for over 100 yards, and it's touched. But that is kind of like the floor for Todd Gurley right now. So
yeah, and that's a great floor, right?
Yeah.
I guess the question is, are you going to get that floor more often now? Well, so let me ask you: do you think that Gurley's? So we talked earlier about how you got a key on stopping Gurley as a receiver to slow down the race, right? And do you think that Gurley's receiving production benefited from those 3 receivers and is now going to be harder, or do you think it's going to be more necessary, his receiving production, and Sean McVay and the Rams have the genius minds to like get him open?
Yeah, I don't think the plan is going to change. I think Josh Reynolds will come in as that third receiver, and I think they're starting to use the tight end a lot more, as we saw the last couple of weeks. So I don't think he's going to change either more or less, personally, in my opinion. But I do have their schedule in front of me. So they play the Chiefs, not a great defense, obviously. Then they're on their bye. Then they're play. So Gurley's playoff matchups, the Rams playoff matchups. So it's on the road in Detroit. That's not bad at all.
Right.
15 and 16 aren't super easy. They go to Chicago. That's a good defense.
Yeah.
And then they're home to the Eagles. Actually, wait a minute. 14. My mistake here, bud. So their playoff matchups are actually Chicago, Philadelphia, and Arizona on the road. So those are 3 pretty good defenses, man. I mean, it's not going to be easy. I know the Eagles got destroyed by Elliott yesterday, but they seem to have the game plan and how to stop Gurley or slow him down as they did in the playoffs last year. So
I don't know because Zeke caught the ball a lot too last night, and he gashed them. When he was running, and this is Philadelphia coming off a bye.
Yeah.
At home, like that's a really big loss for Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Win for Dallas. Like I don't know if I believe in Dallas, but like that really, really like wounds my confidence in Philadelphia.
What's the problem with the Eagles? I know they're pretty injured in the DB section, but
I don't think I know enough to know. But like even the guys that they do have, like they were getting pressure on Dak Prescott because the guys up front are good, but Dallas managed to weather that, and they were able to run the ball. Yeah, man, it looked like they couldn't stop the run very well, and it wasn't just that Zeke was otherworldly, but like Zeke had lanes and he was Zeke.
Yeah.
And and I think that really. I mean, I think that, and the Rams are like, Gurley's maybe a little bit better than Zeke. Goff is maybe a little bit better than Prescott, but then their receivers are a lot better. I'm not, and also again, man, I don't think fantasy players need to fear defenses anymore. I think defenses need to fear fantasy players, and Chicago is a concern. Chicago is definitely a concern. I think that Well, in the one league in which I have Gurley, I'm hoping that I get a bye that week. That would really help me. But that's a concern. Yeah, it's a tough week, but at the same time, what are you going to do? Gurley at Chicago or Alex Collins, whoever he may be? Like, what are you going to do, right? Who do you have?
For sure. And I agree with you. I agree the Eagles' defense isn't good. The only reason why I'm saying it could be a tough matchup is because the Eagles can put up points on the Rams' defense. That might change the game plan a little bit as the game goes along for the use of Gurley, right? I think the Eagles had a lead last year in that game. In the playoff game, I think they were constantly winning, and I think therefore the Rams were kind of adjusting to that. So I think it depends on what the score is. If the Rams are trailing, that could definitely affect the usage.
It could, but I haven't seen that Eagles team this year.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
And I don't know now. It's one thing to think, hey, at some point they'll just snap back into it, right? But like this week should have been the week that they did that. What are they waiting for, right? I don't think they're that kind of team either, by the way, because they're not like a team of perennial success that like they're not Shaq spending all season playing his way into shape, like they were one of many good teams last year. They were the good team of however many that won the Super Bowl last year, but all those teams are good again. There's no reason why Philadelphia towers over any of them.
Yeah, I know for sure. I think they miss Ajayi, and I'm surprised they didn't make a big trade for a good running back like a LaShawn McCoy. Because Ajayi was great in the second half of the year. He was good in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. I think they're really going to miss that element, man.
Yeah, I think so too. I think they got to figure something out, because here's the thing: like, say what you will about this game is all wide open and spread out and high scoring, but like down the stretch, things do tighten up. It does get colder. Like things, it becomes a football as we've always known it to be. And I don't know if they have the horses in the backfield for that, which means, hey, listen, let's not forget Carson Wentz. It's Carson Wentz. It's not Nick Foles, right? And, if anybody can just sort of get it together and snap into it, it's Wentz, And, but again, I'd have to see it, man. I'd have to see it. It's tough.
Yeah, we're not convinced. We're pretty much convinced that no one from the NFC East is going to do any damage in the playoffs or go for it.
The graphics that they were showing during the game last night, it was so depressing. It was like the NFC East, like offense, like Philadelphia was in the like 21, 22-ish range. And then the other teams were 25, 26, 27 ranked offenses. Yeah. Like just bleh.
It's a pretty weak division. Honestly, we should go back to our division previews and see what we were thinking about the NFC East.
I do have one last Amari Cooper thought, and I was wondering if I could bring it up, if you might be able to attach it.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So the same way I asked that question about Henry is do you still upgrade him, right? So here's my question about Cooper. There are a lot of people that drafted Cooper to be a starter for them, and they haven't really had him as a starter. They haven't really gotten that wide receiver 1.5 out of him that they wanted. But now they may have him again. They may still need that wide receiver 2, and he's available, and he's theirs. Are you happy with Amari Cooper as a wide receiver 2 again, or
no
upgrade for your playoff push?
No, I like that he's out of Oakland. If I'm a Cooper owner, which I am in our league, and I'm in last place, so thanks, Amari. But I will say that no, because I don't think the passing they're not passing enough. Is Dak's pass attempts are low, and I don't feel good about that. So I'd say no. I think he's a very, very high end wide receiver 3.
Yeah,
and. No, I would try and make a move. If you're a Cooper owner and you drafted him in the 4th round this year, I think you need to get someone else with a little more confidence in front of him.
Yeah, I think he's a flex, and even then, he's like a flex you rotate and pick from among every week. I think that's what he is. But
I think so. Yeah, I think so. And maybe if he ends the season strong, you can feel about him well about him next year because he's got some more chemistry, and then you'll get disappointed again next year after you draft him. So.
Yeah, I think an optimistic view of Cooper and Hearns and Michael Gallup and Cole Beasley, not a bad team, and last night was a good win for him. So who knows? Maybe if the Cowboys really grow into a pretty good team the rest of this way, like if you're a Cooper keeper in a keeper league,
If you're a Cooper keeper, you want to make sure that Jason Garrett is not coaching your team next year. You got to get a new coach with a better offensive scheme going. I mean, I know they play to your strengths and you run the ball with your best player, but and you have a mobile quarterback. They got to be doing a better job putting points up. That's all. So,
well, I think it's a double-edged sword, though, right? Because if Cooper by the end of this season is somebody that you're excited to keep, then that must mean that the team played well enough that they're not going to fire Jason Garrett. Or if Jason Garrett gets himself fired, that probably means that Cooper didn't perform to a level where you're excited to keep him. So
yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair. We'll have to see the tail. That tail hasn't been written yet, so we'll see what happens the rest of the season.
That's a guy picture, man.
Yeah. But you got to feel good. You got to feel good about the way he played yesterday.
Yeah.
So
like the fact that even if I call him a flex now, which is cautiously optimistic, it's more than I felt about him for a little while. So okay.